So, let's get on with reading this statement, or this article that goes over what exactly happened. Mark Hamill regrets trash-talking Luke Skywalker's direction in The Last Jedi. Okay, I'm already at odds with this outrageous headline. Yes, Mark Hamill does regret airing his opinion on The Last Jedi. He never trash-talked the movie. In fact, time and time again, I think the guy said that he liked everything about the movie except for his role. That's not trash-talking. That's, I mean, what I've been doing over the past week or so, you can call that trash-talking. Mark Hamill just gave his truthful opinion at the time.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. When an actor who's making millions of dollars on a movie says, hey, we didn't quite make it in this movie to where I think it should have been, then you're getting one of the most truthful statements of opinion that you can hope for. You know, I mean, this guy has every reason to just gush over this film, and he didn't do it. And so Disney, I have no doubt Disney, Kathleen Kennedy, whoever, someone up there at a big office with nothing to do with their time, more than likely called Mark Hamill up and gave him the business, which is incredibly unfortunate. But that's the way of the world anyway. I'm disappointed that he walked back a lot of his earlier statements. Now I realize that people are going to misconstrue his earlier statements, much like the title of that headline misconstrued his earlier statements, and that might be one of the reasons why he walked back what he said. And it's so unfortunate because people will not, they have to sensationalize everything. They will not just stick to the truth, which is interesting enough. It's interesting enough that Mark Hamill liked everyone else's role but his own. That's an interesting headline, but they don't want to print that. And so, you know, we have to get this lukewarm retelling of his opinion, which sounds different than what his original opinion was, because people just don't want to stick to the truth when they write their articles. Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit of this here, and it starts. The dark side of the Force even gets to Jedi Masters. Mark Hamill took to Twitter on Tuesday, the day after Christmas, to apologize for the smack-talking he put out to the universe about the direction of his character, Luke Skywalker, in Star Wars The Last Jedi. Here we go. Smack-talking. That wasn't smack-talking, it was just an opinion. There was no malice of any kind, of any sort towards it. You know, he said nothing but good about Rian Johnson. Anyway, here's some quotes from Mark Hamill. I regret voicing my doubts and insecurities in public, Hamill wrote. Creative differences are a common element of any project, but usually remain private. All I wanted was to make a good movie. I got more than that. Okay, so here's the point where Mark Hamill has to overdo it on his sort of, you know, his own recounting of events, just because people overdid it when they were reporting on what he originally said. And, I mean, I'm just going to make this clear. I love Mark Hamill, but it didn't matter what he thought about this movie. I wasn't going to change my opinion, and I'm sure most people weren't going to change their opinion according to what Mark Hamill says at this point, or what he originally said. So, I mean, when you see people come out, you know, running cleanup, you know, for PR, it's such a bad look. Just let the truth be the truth. Mark Hamill did not like his role. I still don't believe he likes his role, but now he's, well, we'll move on. Hamill, who added the hashtag #HumbledHamill, said The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson made an all-time great one. Humbled Hamill. Well, I'm sure he's been humbled, but, you know, there was no cause or call for him to be humbled. And he may have liked the movie, an all-time great one. Once again, I think he's overdoing it, but it's his statement for him to stick by. I just don't put too much credit behind it. Moving on again. In an interview for Vanity Fair posted in May, Hamill recounted a discussion he had with Johnson after reading the script featuring the full return of Skywalker in The Last Jedi. I, at one point, had to say to Rian, I pretty much fundamentally disagree with every choice you've made for this character. Now, having said that, I have gotten it off my chest, and my job now is to take what you've created and do my best to realize your vision, Hamill recalled. Okay, and that sounds like truth to me. And the reason it sounds like truth to me is because it isn't this touchy-feely, mushy stuff that, some people will say to you when they first meet you, just to be polite for politeness' sake. And it is also exactly what I felt when I saw the movie. I fundamentally disagreed with every choice that Rian Johnson, whatever you want to call him, made about the Luke Skywalker character. I fundamentally disagree with it, exactly like Mark Hamill did, and I'm not sure if I saw the movie first and then I heard that he said that, or if I heard him say that and then I went to see the movie. But however it was, I went into the theater expecting an amazing movie, irregardless of when I heard Mark Hamill say that. And I was shocked, if anything, that the movie was so bad. Now, if I went in there expecting a bad movie, I would not have been shocked when I got a bad movie. So that's just, my feelings were incredibly sincere, and they're in direct alignment with Mark Hamill's feelings, or his original feelings towards the script, and his character in general. So that's how I'm fairly certain that he was 100% truthful when he said those things, and he might be a little bit less than truthful at this point. If he's 100% truthful now, which he may be, then that was an incredible 180 he pulled. Okay, so moving on with the reading. During an interview with the Spanish outlet Cincine, I don't know how to say that word, an emotional Hamill said, "I almost had to think of Luke as another character. Maybe he's Jake Skywalker. He's not my Luke Skywalker. But I had to do what Ryan wanted me to do because it serves the story well." Yes, it does serve the story well, but the story is bad, so you're serving a bad story. That's what I have to say about that. He had a job to do, he got paid to do that job, so he did the job. And that's all I have to say about that little part. In an interview with the Daily News, Hamill called himself the host body to which this character has been assigned. So basically he's saying that he was possessed by Jake Skywalker, which I think is funny. I thought he was, just a twisted version of Luke Skywalker. He looked like Luke Skywalker. He sounded like Luke Skywalker. His mannerisms, when he wasn't being un-Luke Skywalker-ish, were very Luke Skywalker-ish, I know there weren't many instances where he wasn't being un-Luke Skywalker-ish, but, there were enough to where I did have a small feeling of nostalgia watching him. I couldn't help it. I love that character so much. So I was just hoping that at some point while I was watching this movie, they would redeem all the crap they had done with him, and they just never really did. Okay, and he goes on. "That's the problem. When I disagree with the direction of the character, I get a little mouthy," he said. Like when the trailer came out and the line is, "It's time for the Jedi to end. There's no way. I don't care what happened to this guy. Jedis do not give up. It's just inherent in them." I always laugh when people say Jedis, because that's not really correct terminology. The plural version of Jedi is just Jedi. But, Mark Hamill, the, most iconic Jedi ever as far as I'm concerned, says Jedis, so, what can I do? Let's move on. Hamill's comments have not stopped. The Last Jedi, from soaring to $792 million worldwide and counting at the box office, with a 91% critical score on the review site RottenTomatoes.com. Audiences have been disgruntled, giving The Last Jedi a 52% approval score on Rotten Tomatoes. So that's the end of this article. I will keep a link to the article in the description box below, and just tell me what you think of Mark's comments here. I found them interesting. I can't say that I was too surprised that he was, he ended up making them, because, yeah, he was mouthy, but I thought, the mouthiness was a good thing as far as just being genuine, telling the truth of what you think. A lot of people, enough people don't do that these days. And one thing I've noticed is a lot of British musicians, and maybe the British people in general, but I'm acquainted with the musicians, so I know, how they speak a little bit more than I do just the average British person. But, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and you name them, Led Zeppelin, those guys, just really, really truthful when they say stuff. They don't care who they might offend. Keith Richards will he will blast Mick Jagger, and the Beatles blasted each other like crazy, and the Stones and the Beatles blasted each other. It's like a war zone when they're just in regular conversation or when they're in interviews. So it's like America might be able to use a little bit of that mentality. I don't know, but Mark's original statements were a breath of fresh air, and if he was made to give these new statements, then I find that really unfortunate. If he felt that he needed to make them on his own, well, he's a man, he's his own man, and he felt that he had gone too far. Okay, but I'm inclined to accept his original statements as the 100% truth, at least at the time. He may feel different now. I don't know. I just don't find the current statements as sincere. And that'll be it for this video, guys. Have a great holiday season.